Smile, be, chat, join for networking.
I've got a feeling that was better in your head than it actually played out, Brad. Am I all right to go? Did that work? Were we all right? After that, actually my question works. So why did I come here? Why did I come here? Because I left home, which is Oxfordshire. I left home at 10 to 6 yesterday morning. Had to sleep on Brad's settee last night. You don't get much sympathy in Somerset, do you? That's the best joke of the next 10 minutes, by the way. Why did I come here? Because networking doesn't work. Networking doesn't work. I know networking doesn't work because I've been told probably hundreds of times by people, networking doesn't work. I don't know why you bother going to all of those networking events, spending all of that time, wasting all of that time, because networking doesn't work. I've got a reputation over the last few years of being in the right place at the right time. I was asked to write this book, Business Networking for Dummies, Amazon bestseller, not a sales pitch. And there's a short version of the story. There's a lovely short version of the story. I was asked to write that book because I was at a social event in London. We'd been at the business show at Excel. It's a 2-day event, and on the middle night, on the Thursday night, there's a social. It's a piss-up. It's a social. It's a sort of networking event. And the short version of the story is that I was sat next to someone called Sarah, who I'd never met before. And Sarah and I got chatting, and we found out bits and pieces about each other. We found out we both had a love of the same wine. We chatted about various things, and Sarah went on to say, I'm really flattered, but you're old enough to be my dad, and you're pissed. That's far too true, actually. That's far too close to the truth. But as the evening went on, I said, so we're at a networking event, so what do you do for a living? She said, well, I work for a publisher called Wiley. I'm a commissioning editor. You've probably not heard of the publishers, but you might have heard of our series of books which are called Dummies. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Have you ever done business networking for dummies? And Sarah said, oh no, because in the last 3 years we've been looking for the right author and we've never found the right person to write business networking for dummies. Maybe you ought to speak to my boss. 6 weeks later I signed a contract to write the book, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. In 2010, I ended up doing a load of work for a major national retailer, 5,600 employees. And they got me to do all of their training around the country at corporate rates. And I had a one-to-one with someone in St Albans, actually, a couple of people from Hertfordshire here. It wasn't either of you guys. And when I explained to him how I'd met the HR director of this retailer, he said to me, oh right, so you were just in the right place at the right time then? Since I joined For Networking in 2007, I've done 750 For Networking breakfasts.
It's no accident you're that fat.
I used to do the joke and not get a laugh. And then Brad did it and then everyone laughed at him. So I've done 750 For Networking meetings. I've posted on the For Networking forum over 20,000 times. And I never advertised my business on there, never, less than 50 times. I got into using social media and got into using Twitter, particularly in the middle of 2008, which is before most of you guys, before most of the UK. I've realised along the way that being in the right place at the right time, which I've got a reputation for being, is surprisingly simple. It's just not that easy. It just requires a load of effort. And the big opportunity for all of you guys is that you've bothered to get up and come here today, whereas a load of people won't have bothered. It was advertised on the forum, on the For Networking forum, that if you've got a good enough foresight, you can come and be on 4NTV. But most people will, can't be bothered with the forum, it's just a load of chat. Why is that for me? The opportunity to be out there, to build your brand, to be in the right place at the right time is surprisingly simple. It's just not that easy. There's a guy whose books I read a lot of, a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk. Anyone else read his books? Yeah. Okay. If you've not read Gary Vaynerchuk's books, please buy them and read them. In 2008, he used an expression. He said that in 2008, you no longer need a load of cash to build and develop a small business, that you can do it with what he described as sweat equity. It works much better in his New Jersey accent. This is a West Oxfordshire accent. But Gary talks about sweat equity, and I think that really sums it up. If you're prepared to run fast enough, if you're prepared to be out there, if you're prepared to put yourself out there to do all of the networking events, to talk to all of these people, then the opportunities are there to be in the right place at the right time. All of these opportunities, all of this getting up early in the morning and going to networking events, why have I bothered? Well, this year, believe it or not, I've been asked to be the opening speaker for the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants National Conference. That big opportunity came from a very little conversation. Actually a conversation 6 years ago with a 4Networking member who's still a 4Networking member. I'm speaking at the Content Marketing Academy in Glasgow. That came from a little conversation 2 years ago. Every big opportunity which I found has come from a little conversation. Every big opportunity comes from a little conversation. The only thing that I'm doing differently is that I'm having more little conversations than most people can be bothered to do, that I'm throwing myself out there more to talk to more people. And I've learned a couple of things along the way. What I get asked about most is about what we do at networking meetings and how to get that right. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But actually the most important thing about networking meetings is what we do when we're not at the networking meetings. And I'm going to talk about that even more, if that's all right with you. Every networking event I've ever been to, I've approached it with some sort of positive intent. I think that's a lie. I've done 750 in the last 7 years. I get bad mornings as well. But when I get there, if I've bothered to make the effort to drive there, I get up and I smile and I talk to people and I make myself want to be there. I was at networking events in somewhere in the UK. Because
There's someone in the room, isn't there?
no, it's not, but this is going out nationally. So let's just say somewhere in the UK. A few weeks ago, and a lady arrived about 7:30 in the morning, and as she arrived in the room, she stopped. And she sort of surveyed everyone in the room. And when she had done that, she turned to me and she said, look, there's 26, 27 people here. I go to another event up the road, somewhere else in the UK, and there's usually 70 or 80 people there. And I need a much bigger audience to talk about what I do, because what I do is very niche, and I need many more people in the room for me to talk to and for me to get my stuff across. But you know, I'm here now, so I might as well stick around. I couldn't believe that a self-employed person was sort of writing off 3 or 4 hours of her working life and of her working day on the basis that I'm here now, so I might as well stick at it. I've approached every networking event I've been to with some sort of positive intent. What this lady did is then walk around for the rest of the morning with a face like a smacked ass and was really surprised that people responded to her in exactly the same way. One of the best ways, or one of the most obvious ways we can display that positive intent at networking meetings is the 40-second round. Because this is our opportunity to engage with our constituents. This is our opportunity to start conversations with people. A load of you in the room know me, so that you know that I was an estate agent for just around 20 years. And every week in those 20 years, we advertised in the local newspaper. Never once in 20 years of estate agency did I ever wait for the guy to phone from the newspaper and then say, oh yeah, I haven't had much time. Let's say that this week, that'll work. And yet I see people going to networking events with 20, 30, 40, 89, I think in a couple of weeks, other people in the room that they can engage about their business, and people think about what they're going to say when they stand up. To me, this is so important. There are people, even in this audience, who can help you put together what you say, who can help you with how you say it. What you say when you stand up and do your 40 seconds is so terribly important. Smile when you say it. And think about this just for a second. We put a different set of rules on everyone else as we put on ourselves. Because we go to networking events for the sake of our business. And yet then we think that everyone else came for the sake of our business too. They didn't, they came for the sake of their business. So why, when we stand up and do our 40 seconds, why do we talk about what we do, where we're established, when we were established, what qualifications we've got, how many people have we got working for us? Just as with any other marketing that you would do, put the so what test to it. Whatever you're about to say, think, so what? What does that actually mean to the other people in the room? What you're selling when you stand up and do your 40 seconds, particularly at a networking event, isn't what you do for a living. You're selling people on the opportunity of finding out more about you. You want to give people enough that they want to find out more, and not so much that they've ticked the box. I know what she does, I don't need to talk to her anymore. But that's not what's most important. What's most important and what most people don't do is anything in between networking meetings. Most people, again, put a different set of rules on other people than they do on themselves. When you leave a networking meeting, when you leave today, when you leave to drive back, you're going to do a number of things. You've got a load of emails that you've got to catch up on. You've got a missed call from your best client. You've got a text from the school to say, why aren't you here to collect them because you forgot to sort it out. She'll forgive me for it. You start to forget the little conversations that you've had, and yet you expect everyone else to remember you based on 40 seconds or a 10-minute one-to-one conversation. But that's okay, because everyone knows what I do. I see these same people every fortnight, everyone knows what I do, so that's fine. I don't know where all of you live, but do you have DFS, the furniture store, advertising where you live? When does their sale end? Never. Oh, is it? Or is it the Maybank holiday, or did it end at... There's two answers, aren't there? But you know what DFS sell, right? They sell sofas, you know that? They do 4 years interest-free credit, you all know that? So why, when you get home tonight and put on the television, why will DFS be advertising to you to tell you exactly what you already know? The one thing which DFS don't know about you is when you're going to get home one Sunday and Steph's been to stay on our sofa and he's dribbled all over the thing again, or the dog's, sorry, the dog's been, it was dribble, the dog's been asleep on this. You can edit that, can't you? The one thing that DFS don't know about you is when you're going to start thinking about buying a sofa, when you've got family coming for the holidays or whatever it happens to be. I may have loved what you said in your 40 seconds this morning, but I don't need what you're selling. I may love what you've got to say in a fortnight's time, and I just don't need what you're selling, or it hasn't clicked why I should do business with you. I may love what you've got to sell in 3 months' time, but I just don't need it. And in 6 months' time, I really, really need what you're selling, and I'm thinking, oh God, who was that guy who sold that thing which I really need now? I've lost his business card, I forgot to connect with him on LinkedIn, but that's okay, because she does something similar. We've all got really short memories, we've all got really busy lives. Don't expect people to remember you. You've got so many opportunities to follow up with people in 2015. You've got email, LinkedIn, Twitter, the 4 Networking Forum, Facebook. You've got the telephone. In 2015, it is okay to pick up the phone to people that you've met at networking events and say, can we catch up for a coffee? I've got something I really want to talk to you about. Stop hiding behind emails. I got an email this morning from someone. It said, I met you at a networking event this week, and now here's 800 words about why you should buy from me and what I do. What do you think I did with that email? What do you do with those emails when you receive them?
Forward them to you.
Yeah, you do.
Rant about them on social media.
You respond and say, I only respond to my emails twice a day, yeah. But why are we all still sending emails like that? The best book on social media which was ever written in 1937 was a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by a guy called Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie talks about how the most important thing to someone is their name. The most important thing to anyone is what they're doing, their stuff. So why do we see all of their stuff float past us on social media, and yet we only ever talk about our stuff? Massive opportunities to follow up with people and move on to their turf. Everyone, I've seen a load of presentations today, they've all been absolutely fabulous. Except for one. No, that's not fair. All of them have been absolutely fabulous. One of the things that I loved about networking and why I got into it was that in any sales environment I've ever been in, I always got told that you only got one chance to make a first impression. And what I've loved about business networking is that it's the only place I've ever been where I got a second chance or even a 750th chance to make a first impression. Thank you for listening.
Smile, be chat, join for networking.